Welcome to the Brand Management Microworld. Your aim in this game is to build the sales and profits for a new consumer product. And in order to do that, you're going to have to win the interest of consumers who will want the brand, and you're also going to have to sell the brand into stores so that those consumers who would like to buy the brand can actually do so. You're also going to have to choose a price to charge to the stores. You will lose money until the growing profit contribution from the rising sales revenue covers the cost of your early advertising and the sales force. But do try to get profitable quickly. If you just keep losing money, there will come a point where the division that you work for loses patience and you will get fired. After that, try to grow those profits as quickly as possible and sustain them in the longer term. There's much more on how exactly you build the brand and make profits in the PDF user guide that you can access from the game screen. When you first log in, this is the home screen that you will see. Towards the upper left of the screen is where you can access a quick start guide, just to get you going very quickly, a more extensive user guide, and it's also where you can get back to this video. Below that, under the first green bar, is the space where any games that you create will be displayed. There's nothing there just yet because you haven't created any games. To the right of the screen is the dark green button for creating a new game. If you use that option, then you create a new brand from nothing with no consumers, no stores, and no history to the product at all. And the bottom section is where you'll find a number of challenges. A challenge is simply a game that's already been played part way through, and you can think of this as taking on a business that a previous management team has created, and your challenge will be to do a good job of managing the brand from that point going forward. Let's get started by picking one of those challenges, and we'll pick the challenge described as too slow. You can find more information about that challenge if you just hover over the more information button. Just click Start Challenge to open that game. The game screen opens already loaded with data for the challenge that you've chosen to take on. You'll find if you have a rather narrow window that the toolbar items will shrink at the top there. Stretch that wider again to see the full toolbar items. At top left is the button that will take you back to the games list. It's also where you rename and or create a copy of your game, and where you submit your game for your instructor to assess if that's applicable to your situation. Next to that is a set of buttons that give you access to a number of reports, charts, tables of data, and you can also add some notes about your game and close whole sets of charts, reports and tables. Further over to the right you can see the time bar, and at present it shows that we're already at year 3, month 12, so you've got 3 years of history in this game already, and next to that is the time step for the game. Each time you go forward, you'll go forward 1 month. If you get to a situation where you're happy with your decisions and want to go forward for a larger number of periods, then simply select another of these options here. You run the game by actually making decisions over here in the decisions box, changing the wholesale price, raising or lowering the advertising spend, or adding or removing people from your sales force. And when you're happy with those numbers, you simply hit the forward button and the game moves forward and updates. You can see that the time bar has now moved forward to year 4, month 1. Let me just go back to undo that decision. That option may, by the way, be disabled by your instructor, but if it's not, then you can go back with that. The last button allows you to restart, and you have the option of restarting this particular game or starting a new game. You'll see the name of the current game down at the bottom left. That's created automatically when you create a new game, and this one says that it's based on the Too Slow challenge, but you can change that name under the Brand Management button. Any new game will always open up with the summary report displayed, and that gives you summary information about the stores and sales for the product at this particular point in time, for your revenue and profit, and also for your cash position. That's how much money in total you've actually made or lost up to this particular point in time. You can see at this point that we've lost quite a lot of money. That's £12.7 million out of the maximum loss that the division will allow of 20 million. The main item on the screen is the resource map. Now this is a diagram showing you really what depends on what in the game. So you can see that the sales volume here in the middle depends on how many consumers want the brand and on how many stores are actually stocking the brand. That's what these link arrows mean. You can see the current value for every item on the report, and you can also see time charts for the main resources in the system. These box icons represent resources that fill up over time. So at this particular point in time, you have just added 57 stores to the number of stores stocking your product, and you are up at the point of having 2,220 stores. This shows you how quickly you're winning consumers, and the red line there is the number of those consumers who can actually buy the brand because it's stocked in their local store. The green line is the number of consumers who are actually aware of the brand. This is the sales force, and it will simply change according to the decision you make about the number of salespeople that you want. You'll notice that if you hover over any of the numbers on the resource map, a little chart icon appears. If you click at that point, a chart of that item will open, so you can see in some detail how that particular number has been changing over time. You can also see charts of the items that appear in any table. We open, for example, the table on the number of consumers, click in the column that you're interested in. A small window opens giving you a definition of the item and the option to view that item too as a time chart. A further option with any of the tables is to click the little tool item at the top right of the window, and that allows you to export the data in that table as a CSV file. Let's just update the name of this particular game. You can add a short description here, and then you have the option of simply updating that name or taking a copy of this game with the new name. Taking a copy of a game is actually quite a useful thing to do in case you want to explore different strategies going forward from a particular point in time. Let's just update this particular name. If we now go back to the games list, we'll see that this game has been added to the list of games that I have actually played, together with any changes I've made to the name and the note that I added explaining what I was about to try and do. You'll find more information on the challenges that are built into this game in the user guide PDF, together with an example of some steps that you might take to try and manage your way forward with one of those challenges. We very much hope you enjoy this game and have great success in building your brand.